Hello everyone, and welcome back to my challenge where I try to be Planters Zombies 2 with only flowers. This is the 6th part, and if this is the first part you are seeing, I would recommend you watch the first 5 parts beforehand, which are all linked in the description. Now this part consists of all the expansion levels, which are extra harder levels for all the vanilla worlds. And since each world has 2 expansion levels each, besides 2 of them, I'm going to be considering them all as a single quote-unquote world, for both this video and the ranking of it with all the rest. And now, with everything now out of the way, let's continue on by moving on to the expansion levels.
It's no
disrespect to the original creators or the devs of Reflourished. I just find it quite funny the amount of versions of Explorer Zombie there are. Welcome back to the ancient Egypt, this scorching world of both sand and graves. And while this level was easy, I do want to make a formal apology to a certain plant of mine, Vanilla, who can actually deal damage. A whopping 10. And they do actually have some other uses, like being able to stop sandstorms and turn off shields from shield mechs. But besides that, you still won't be seeing me use them that much. And other than that, let's move on from this level. Day 27 has been produced 9,000 sun. And besides the level spamming tons of raw zombies to try and steal my precious sun, this level, like all other sun producing levels like it, was easy, so let's move on. Day 28 is a plan your defense level, so skip. Day 29 is also a conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 30 has been protected of these bowling balls, with gravestones constantly spawning in front of them, causing their attacks to bounce all over the place, making stalling almost impossible to do in the early game. This level also introduces a new type of basic zombie, the brickheads, who are just tankier bucketheads, and each world has one of them, so this will be the only time I bring them up. But just know there's one in each world. And using Snapdragon, specifically his cold variant, I was able to beat the level, so let's continue on. Day 31 has me break 50 gravestones, so using both Boing Leda and Maypop mechanic, this objective was easily beaten and allowed me to continue on. Day 32 introduces the Torchlight Zombie, who's just a fast moving torch zombie, meaning they have nothing else interesting to talk about. But this level also picks most of my plants for me, but thankfully they give me Twin Sunflower. And along with bringing Maypop mechanic, Buttercup, and Ice to myself, I was able to beat the level. Day 33 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 34 has The Rot take over the last 3 rows. Along with this level only spawning zombies out of sandstorms, so using Dandelion for their multi-lane attacking abilities, the sandstorms were no match for my flower's might, and I was able to beat the level. Day 35 is just a zombie boss fight, so with ancient Egypt out of the way, let's return to the Pirate Seas. Cue the cool transition thingy. Welcome back to the Pirate Seas. This swashbuckled world with still plenty of scurvy to go around and kill plenty more pirates. And as all first levels have been, this level was easy, so let's move on. Day 27 has The Rot take over all the plank lanes, along with having me only be allowed to plant 16 flowers. But using dandelions to have every lane taken care of without going over the planting limit, this level was beaten with not much issue. Day 28 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 29 is also a conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 30 has me protecting a singular potato mine, who has been planted in the only lane without planks, along with The Rot blocking all of her spots, so I have no way to block zombies that are within that lane. But using both Dandelion and Cattail for their multi-lane attacking abilities, so that lane is always protected, this level was beaten. Day 31 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 32 has me protect 2 garlics, along with this level also introducing the Pelican zombies, who's just a faster and tankier seagull zombie. So once again, I have nothing much to talk about for them. And using Snapdragon to benefit off the garlics, along with ale to heal the garlics as well, this level was beaten without too much issue. Day 33 has no plank lanes whatsoever, only having swashbucklers, imp cannons, and both flying zombies to try and take out my brains. But with this level only having a singular flag, it was quite easy, so let's continue on. Day 34 has me protect this gravity-defying row of flowers. But this level was quite easy thanks to once again Dandelion and the classic ale and broccoli combo. So let's move on. Day 35 is just once again the zombie boss fight, so with that out of the way, let's return to the Wild West. Welcome back to the Wild West, this desert land that is always taking place in the land of Texas. Now this level was once again easy, so not wanting to drag this on for too long, let's continue on with the levels. Day 27 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 28 has not much challenge to take note of, and using both Dandelion and Broccoli, this level was easily taken care of. Day 29 is just the conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 30 is also a locked and loaded level, so once again, skip. Day 31 introduces the power of 2 minecarts on the same track, which doesn't add much gameplay wise. But this level also introduces a new type of ambush, the Stampede, which spawns multiple Bull Rider imps who are already in their charging state, making it harder for me to stop them from throwing their imps into my defense. And even with this new defense, this level was an easy one thanks once again to both Dandelion and Broccoli, so let's continue on. Day 32 introduces the Rodeo Legend imps, who ride a much stronger bull, who is able to destroy plants it runs into, along with being able to continue charging even with its imp gone, making them quite a threat. This level also picks most of my plants for me, only allowing me to have 2 seed slots in total, so picking both Maypop, Mechanic, and Sunflower was my best options, and along with me having to protect a Walnut who is on a minecart as well. And even with all of these challenges, this level was still beatable with not much issue. Day 33 is a minigame level, so skip. Day 34 has tons of minecarts on the lawn, making planting space very limited. But using both Cactus and Broccoli, this level was not much of a challenge, even with the 4 flags this level contains, so let's continue on. Day 35 is just the zombie boss fight, so with Wild West out of the way, let's now return to the far future. Welcome back to the far future, the land of both jetpacks and just very tanky mechs. And once again, this level was, as always, easy, so let's just continue on. Day 27 is we protect both primal sunflowers and starfruits, along with the top and bottom regions having the rot take them over. So, using both Cattail and Dandelion, this level was easily beaten. Day 28 is a locked and load level, so skip. Day 29 is also the conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 30 introduces the Blasternaut zombies, who's just a faster jetpack zombie, and they are not much of a threat that I don't even notice when they show up. So, yeah, not much to talk about them. And thanks to the large amount of power tiles within this level, it was very much beaten with not much difficulty at all. Day 31 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 32 has me protect 3 tunnelets against the brand new ambush, the jetpack attack, which just spawns all types of jetpack zombies, and using ale to keep the tunnelets alive throughout the entire level, and I was easily able to beat it, so let's continue on. Day 33 only allows me to plant 7 plants down, and using Dandelion along with the power tiles, this level was easily beaten, so let's continue on. Day 34 is one of the harder levels I've faced so far, having me protect both a full row of twin sunflowers, but as well as making sure the zombies don't walk over the row of flowers. And at first, I didn't bring sunflowers from my own because, well, you know, this level already gives me a full row of twin sunflowers, so why would I need more? And this did not end well for me. And after a few more attempts, I managed to win thanks to both Dandelion and Broccoli, so let's continue on. Day 35 is just a zombie boss fight, so with that out of the way, let's return to the Dark Ages. Welcome back to the Dark Ages, where the plague is still running amok and the nighttime still has its power here. And as always, because this is the first level, it was easy, so let's just move on. Night 22 introduces the bandit zombies, who sneak around Balan for a bit, leaving if not killed, and drop 75 sun when killed, before leaving Balan, making them quite useful if I do manage to kill them. And besides that, this level was also quite easy, so let's continue on. Night 23 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Night 24 is sadly never a level that only gives you sunbeam to produce sun to complete the sun objective, making it sadly another impossible level under my rule set, so with this loss in my hands, let's unfortunately continue on. Night 25 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Night 26 introduces the Dark Summoner zombie, who will summon 4 dragon imps around him, which are all immune to fire damage. And they are quite a threat, especially with the fact that this level only allows me to lose up to 8 plants. And it took me quite a few tries to get a winning attempt. With that said winning attempt having me use cactus because none of the zombies in this level can hurt them. So with this challenging level out of the way, let's continue on. Day 27 has me protect my next new flower, Witch Hazel, who is based off of a flower of the same name. And their main gimmick is being able to kill most zombies instantly, turning them into a puff shroom upon death. Meaning that the mushrooms work for us now! Ha 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 ha! And using Cold Snapdragon, I was able to protect these Witch Hazels and I was able to beat the level. Night 28 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Night 29 is another impossible level, once again giving me no sunflower seeds, and not even sunbeam. And only giving me sun through the tombstones, meaning I have to use grave busters in order to plant anything down. So, sadly, I've never lost my hands. Let's continue on. Night 30 is just the zombie boss fight, so with that out of the way, let's return to Big Wave Beach. Welcome back to this godforsaken place known as the Big Wave Beach. And this time, I'm allowing myself to use Lily Pad from the get-go just to save my sanity. And this level was easy, but that's probably just a mercy from this world. So, let's continue on. Day 34 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 35 only allows me to bring 5 plants into the level. And since Sunflower and Lily Pad are basically required for this, I brought along Buttercup and Blockly as defense, and bringing Lotus Pod as my main attacker. And finally getting to show their water form, for those who remember that, which is them firing a torpedo into the water, meaning the first thing that comes into contact of it, and exploding in a 3x3 area, dealing damage to all zombies. And with this form of strategy, this level was beaten. Day 36 is both a locked and loaded level, and a plan your defense level, meaning that it gets the double skip, so let's skip it. Day 37 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 38 introduces the scuba zombie, who's a tankier snorkel zombie, with the added threat of being unable to be attacked when underwater, which does not change much about them as a threat in the grand scheme of things, because I can't really attack normal scuba zombies underwater as well either. But this level also introduces my next new flower, Chopper, who is based off a Venus flytrap, of course, and I won't go into too much detail what he does, because we all know what Chopper does, let's be honest here. I also found that Chopper doesn't work well with Blockly, so you won't be seeing me use them that much. Anyway, this level was easy, so let's continue on. Day 39 may just be a locked and load level, but it does introduce my next new flower, Homing Thistle, who is based off a thistle. And they basically function like Cattail back in PvZ1, being a full screen attacker who aims at the closest zombie to the start of my lawn. So, anyway, this is once again locked and load level, so skip. Day 40 is a conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 41 features 1 row of land for me to use, so bringing along Lotus Pod once again, along with Blockly, this level was beaten without too much issue. And it's weird for me to say this, but so far these levels have been my favorite of the expansion levels thus far, which is quite shocking me, being Big Wave Beach and all. But anyway, let's continue on. With day 42 being the zombie boss fight, we finished off Big Wave Beach, so let's return to the Frostbite Caves. Welcome back to the Frostbite Caves, this frozen winterland known as Canada. First level is easy always, so let's continue on. Day 32 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 33 once again limits the amount of plants I can take into this level, so bringing Sunflower, Snapdragon, Buttercup, and Paraleaf, I was able to beat this level with only a few close calls. And what was also quite helpful within this level was how the sliding tiles were placed, making Snapdragon quite useful in this level. But once again, with this level beaten, let's continue on. Day 34 is a planar defense level, so skip. Day 35 is also a conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 36 introduces the Robo-Dodo, who's once again just another tanky version of the normal variant of the Dodo Rider. And they are quite a pain to deal with, only Snapdragon, who would have thought. But this level gives me a Citron in the middle lane, making this level not much challenging with most Dodo robots being sent in the middle lane, so let's continue on. Day 37 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 38 is also a locked and loaded level, so once again, skip. Day 39 is another level that took me quite a few tries to get right, with my first attempt being to bring along Dandelion alongside Snapdragon for some of that extra damage. And while I did get close to winning doing this, I lost in the final wave due to a large amount of Robo-Dodos. So, on my second attempt, I brought along Cactus instead to further plant through the stall of the Robo-Dodos. And with this new strategy, I was able to beat the level. Day 40 is the Zomboss fight, so with Frostbite Caves out of the way, let's return to the Lost City. Welcome back to the Lost City.
At night.
And with it being night, means I'll have less sun within these levels. Or that's what it would be if it weren't for the sun tiles, which will give me plenty of sun for these levels compared to something like Dark Ages. And this level is also easy, so let's continue on. Night 34 has me not spend more than 5,200 sun. This level also introduces— Hey, wait a minute, why are you back? No, you're not getting in another intro, sir. No, sirree. Anyway, using both Witch Hazel and Lotus Fruit, I was able to beat the level without too much of an issue, even with the large amount of skull zombies this level was throwing at me. So, let's continue on. Night 35 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Night 36 is also a locked and load level, so once again, skip. Night 37 is another conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Night 38 introduces the Magenta Skull Zombie, with their main gimmick being to use their evil curse to give all zombies on the lawn a speed boost for a short period of time. And they can be quite a threat, too many zombies get boosted at once. But using both Cactus and Vanilla, this level was beaten, so let's continue on. Night 39 introduces my next new flower, Daisy Chain, who is based off of a daisy. And with their main gimmick being to spawn a cloud that slows down zombies that come into contact with it every so often. And they get stronger each time they use this cloud ability, upwards to up to 3 times in a row. And this level also has The Rot, covering the last 3 rows, with all of them having sun tiles on them as well, meaning importers can always put their tents down before I'm able to kill them. And during my first attempt at this level, I completely forgot that excavator zombies existed and didn't bring a logging plant to deal with them. So, on my second attempt, I swapped out Vanilla with Turkey Pullet and was able to beat the level. Night 40 is a locked and load level, so skip. Night 41 is just the big final level that all worlds have, and using Turkey Pullet and Daisy Chan, this level was easy to beat, so let's continue on. Night 42 is once again the Zomboss level, so with Lost City out of the way, let's return to the Neon Mixtape Tour. Welcome back to the Neon Mixtape Tour. The world where music rules and the zombies, well, they still drool. And as always, this is the first level, which is always easy, so let's move on. Day 34 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 35 is also a conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 36 has me not lose more than 10 plants, and thankfully this wasn't another Day 28 incident again, because using Cactus alongside the Aioli and Broccoli combo, this level was easily beaten. Day 37 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 30 is also a locked and load level, so once again, skip. While Day 39 is just a conveyor belt level, it does introduce a new zombie, the Goth Punk Zombie, who's just a normal punk zombie, but they only use their ability when the boombox zombie plays their music, making them quite a deadly combo. But other than that, skip the level, because once again, it's a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 40 has protect 2 twin sunflowers, and it also features a ton of both arcade zombies along with 8-bit zombies who kind of just exist outside their machines for some reason. And thanks to both Cactus and Boingletta, this level was easy, so let's continue on. Day 41 has VODS taking over the first lane, and besides that, I used Cactus and Boingletta once again, which made this level another easy one. Day 42 is once again the Zombie boss level, so with Neon Mixtape Tour out of the way, let's return to the Jurassic Marsh. Welcome back to the Jurassic Marsh, the prehistoric era of the horde of a bunch of dunderheads. Now, this level introduces actually a brand new gimmick, the Tar, which is another neutral force on the lawn, both disabling all plants planted on it, meaning they can't deal any attacking damage or produce sun, but it can also slow down zombies quite a lot, making it also good at stalling zombies in the early game as well. But besides that, this level was easy, so let's continue on. Day 34 has me protect a row of flowers from being trampled over by these zombies, and using Cold Snapdragon, this level was quite easily beaten. Day 35 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 36 introduces the Egg Imp, who's basically just a conehead with the speed of an imp, and they're not much of a threat. But this level also introduces the Jurassic Panic Ambush, which has some dinosaurs reenact that one scene from The Lion King, where they'll rush through a lane, moving plants to random spots in that lane, along with killing zombies in their path as well. And even with these new threats, this level was once again really easy, so let's continue on. Day 37 is a locked and load level, so once again, skip. Day 38 is also a planar defense level, so once again, skip. Day 39 has me protect a singular hot date, who will attract zombies to the lane it's in, along with this level also introducing the next new zombie, the Jurassic Imposter, who, using their clever disguise, all dinosaurs will ignore them, along with also being immune to knockback, which once again isn't much of an issue for me. And, using Cactus and Witch Hazel, this level was beaten, so let's continue on. Day 40 is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 41 introduces the Rock Carrier zombie, who will drop a rock upon death that'll act similar to a gravestone, along with once again just being immune to knockback like all Jurassic Bully variants are. And once again using Cactus, this level was easy, so let's once again continue on. Day 42 is a locked and loaded level, so once again skip. While Day 43 is a conveyor belt level, it does introduce the next new zombie, the Egg Stealer Imp, who carries around an egg that upon death will drop it, and will transform into a Egg Imp. Which, can be quite an issue since the egg dropped can also destroy a plant that it lands on. But it won't drop the egg if it is killed by an ash attack, or an attack that will cause them to ash. But once again, this is a conveyor belt level, so skip. Day 44 has me not spend more than 3,550 sun, but it also introduces my next new flower, Hocus Crocus, who is based off of a crocus, and their main gimmick is teleporting a zombie back to where they started, along with dealing some damage as well. And even with the spending limit, this level wasn't so hard, so let's continue on. Day 45 introduces the Rock Puncher zombie, who will punch any plant it walks into, along with leaving a crater that will not allow me to plant anything there until it is gone, and also being once again immune to knockback. And this level can be quite some issues, but I still managed to come out on top, so let's continue on. Day 46 is a locked and load level, so skip. Day 47 is just the big final level of this world, or his expansion. But once again, thanks to Cactus, this level is also quite easy to beat, so let's continue on. And with Day 48 being the zombie boss fight that finishes off Jurassic Marsh, and let's finally return to the modern day. Welcome back, at last, to the modern day, where the timeline has become more messed up than my sleep schedule. As always, this level was easy, so let's just continue on. Day 36 is a locked and loaded level, so skip. Day 37 features both tons of Frostbite Caves zombies, along with a lot of Imp Dragons alongside them, meaning you have to bring both a plant that can deal fire damage and also not. So, using both Snapdragon and Red Stinger to take care of these zombies, this level was beaten. Day 38 is another locked and loaded level, so once again, skip. Day 39 is also a conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 40 is also a locked and loaded level, so once again, skip. Day 41 is also another locked and loaded level, so once again, skip. Day 42 is also a locked conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 43 introduces the next new zombie, the Sunday edition newspaper zombie, who's once again just a tankier version of the normal one, so yeah. Anyway, this level also features almost all of the bully zombie variants, along with a lot of the egg stealer imps. But using cactus, this level is easy, so let's continue on. Day 44 is another conveyor belt level, so once again, skip. Day 45 features almost every ambush we've come across in the past 11 worlds. But once again using cactus, this level was beaten with not much of an issue, so let's once again continue on. Day 46 is another minigame level, so once again skip. Day 47 features every new special zombie we've encountered once again in the past 11 worlds, which could have made this level quite a challenging one, but thanks to the large amount of bandit zombies in the early game, this level was made quite trivial to beat, so let's continue on. Day 48 is a locked and loaded level, so once again, skip. Day 49 is when the universe truly starts to fall apart, with not only my game starting to lag out a lot during this level, mainly during the transitions between flag waves, but also featuring every zombie, not you, in the past 11 worlds in this singular level, so I didn't mess around here. Using both Cactus and Boingletta, along with a bunch of other supports, and Sunflower of course. And along with this level also gave me a coconut cannon in the bottom lane. And after a long and treacherous fight against all these zombies, the level was finally beaten and allowed me to continue on. Day 50 is once again the Zomboss fight and the final one, so this is now when I start reviewing this world in quotations. And to be honest, it was kind of meh. There were some expansion world levels that I liked, the ones from surprisingly Big Wave Beach and also Jurassic Marsh, those ones I really enjoyed, but a lot of it was also either very short, if you can consider by how long I discuss each world, but also very just easy. Very few levels that I genuinely struggled with. Most of them being either the Zomboss fights, believe it or not, or just a random locked and loader or conveyor belt level, which, I skipped, time-saving reasons. But yeah, this is a very meh-ish world, again, in quotations. But with Zomboss finally out of the way, the expansion levels have finally been finished, and let me continue on to Hydrothermic Hollow. And I'm done. If you made it this far into the video, then thank you so much for watching. Only one more part remains of this challenge before it is completed, yes. But, anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and maybe even subscribe if you really enjoyed. To be honest, it's probably my least favorite of all the parts in general. But, what are you gonna do? All needs to be done for this challenge to be complete. Anyway, oh yeah, my next two videos I'm planning to be my edited down versions of my Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 streams. 2 separate videos for each one. That's why I'm planning to have my next video be. So yeah, look forward to that. But anyway, thank you all once again so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely day/night, and I'm going to enjoy some pizza. Bye!